Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Hope you're doing well. Silver price is once again approaching its all-time record high of $50 per ounce. We witnessed this level back in 1980 and again in 2011, and both times silver crashed hard afterward. So the question now is, will this time be any different? Let's take a look at the data to find out whether silver's bull run has peaked or if it's only just getting started. Buy your gold and silver at SD Bullion. Right now, new customers can get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new. Yes, silver's price is approaching its all-time high in fiat dollars, but prices denominated in fiat currency are a moving target. Fiat prices work relatively well over short time frames. For example, it makes sense to say silver is up 64% year to date. The dollar isn't inflating away fast enough to distort the message in 1 year, not yet anyway. Over the decades, though, inflation and currency debasement make nominal prices less meaningful. For example, if we adjust for inflation using the government's own CPI data, that 1980 high of $50 would equal about 208 of today's dollars. The 2011 high would be about $72. And that's using the official numbers, the official CPI data, which understates the real rate of inflation significantly through substitutions, hedonic adjustments, and other sneaky ways of obscuring the real data. So those inflation-adjusted highs, those are really just base cases. The true real-world equivalent is likely much higher. One of the best ways to measure silver's real value is to look at it relative to other assets. Fiat prices can change, but when you compare silver to something like the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you can see how it is truly valued in the marketplace. And when you look at this chart, I think you'll see that silver is still extremely cheap relative to the US stock market. Even after this year's precious metals rally, silver hasn't come close to matching its past performance versus equities. A huge amount of fiat currency has been created since silver's earlier highs, and that money didn't disappear. It flowed into assets like stocks and real estate. When that tide eventually turns towards the precious metals, which it is in the process of doing, the resulting revaluation could dwarf anything that we have witnessed so far. Another major factor that supports higher silver prices is the simple supply and demand fundamentals. For years now, the silver market has been in a structural deficit, shortfalls of hundreds of millions of ounces annually. That means that the massive pool of fiat currency isn't just chasing a fixed number of silver ounces, it's chasing a shrinking supply. The supply of silver is contracting, while the supply of fiat currency is expanding exponentially. That imbalance simply cannot persist forever. Even when compared to other precious metals, silver remains historically cheap. The silver to gold ratio, that's the silver price divided by the gold price, has ticked up slightly this year, but it's still near the low end of its historical range, even with silver approaching nominal highs. Historically, silver tends to outperform gold in the late stages of a bull market, and if this cycle follows the same pattern, then silver's biggest gains may still be ahead of us. And speaking of gold, the gold price is now above $4,000 per ounce for the first time ever. But you can still get your hands on some physical gold for less than $4 with Goldback's new 1/2 Goldback note containing 1/2000th of an ounce of 24 karat gold. You can find all of the Goldbacks over at SD Bullion. One of the biggest differences between silver's past peaks and today is the US national debt. In 1980, the debt was around $1 trillion. By 2011, it had climbed to about $14 trillion. Today, it is nearing $38 trillion, and it's growing faster than ever before. Combine that with rising deficits, massive federal spending, and a debt to GDP ratio over 124%, and it's clear the system depends on monetary debasement just to function. Real assets like silver tend to reprice sharply higher in that kind of an environment. To really illustrate just how much currency has been created, we can compare silver to the M2 money supply. When you divide the price of silver by the total US money supply, silver is still extraordinarily cheap compared to its past peaks. Fiat currency creation has far outpaced silver's price growth, but in a sovereign debt crisis, a financial meltdown, or a general loss of confidence in all of this fiat currency, that could change very quickly. Now, let's put some numbers to it. If silver were to reach the same silver to Dow ratio as in 2011, the silver price would need to trade above $180 per ounce, with today's Dow trading around 46,600. And if we return to the 1980 ratio, silver would need to exceed $2,000 per ounce. Those numbers might sound a bit extreme, but the reality is that any price target quoted in fiat currency is, in reality, quite possible. Why? Because the floor for fiat currency is zero. Historically, fiat currencies almost never survive intact, and when they do, it's almost always in a debased, devalued form. The US dollar has been a pure fiat currency for more than 50 years now, and by historical standards, that's already a fairly long run. So while those price targets may seem unbelievable now, they become far more plausible when you consider the accelerating trajectory of debt, money creation, and fiat debasement. One reaction I often hear to forecasts such as $2,000 an ounce silver is that you wouldn't want to live in that kind of a world. But here's the scary thing. We may not get a say in that matter. And if we do have to survive an economic crisis of that magnitude, me personally, I'd rather be holding hard assets than not. So has silver's bull run really ended, or is it just getting started? When you look at silver's fundamentals, its valuation relative to other assets, and the macroeconomic backdrop, it's hard to conclude that this market is anywhere near finished. Even though gold and silver are at new highs, my personal view is that they still have a long way to go, and that is why I am still stacking. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you think silver and gold will finish out this year, 2025? Drop your price targets in the comments below. I read every one of them. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe and happy stacking, and I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.